Yes.
Okay, so thank you everyone for joining in this Indus session. Indus, as you know, is SAP user group. It's a group where SAP companies are there. We just discuss what are the issues, what are the next steps as far as SAP is concerned. How can we really help all the customers of SAP? So this is a group by the customers of SAP for the customers of SAP. I just want to discuss today some technologies and trends as far as automotive is concerned. So let me first welcome each one of you to this session. The second session, as Mukesh put in. So we have various industry sessions that we are holding. So today's session is about automotive. I also wish, hope, pray that each one of you, your families are safe, healthy. I know Corona is kind of subsiding, 30,000 cases, but still each one of us needs to ensure that we remain safe so that there's no wave 3 or any such thing that hits any one of us. So let's talk today about automotive industry, what is happening from our technology trends. And, so I just wanted to keep one slide since all of you are from automotive industry. So I thought you should be aware as to what exactly is the background of automotive industry. When did it start? So development in automotive industry actually started in early 17th century, so maybe around 1650 or so. And that's the time when first steam powered vehicle was there. So at that time it was steam. Now we have gasoline, we have electric, we have all other kind of things, hydrogen, others are which people are kind of experimenting. So, but the original thing started way back in 17th century, and automotive industry actually took off in 1860s, 1870s when the gasoline engine or the petrol engine really came in. So that was then. So that was 1800, and now it's a very different world. It's not just the automotive industry, original automotive companies which are part of automotive industry, but we know that there are various companies who may not be originally automotive are getting into automotive. So we have self-driving cars. Who would have imagined till around 5, 7, 10 years back that on the roads there could be a car which doesn't have a driver, or various other stuff as we will discuss. So that is how the industry has really changed over last 200 odd years. So I just wanted to start with this particular slide. So there's a group called Capital Group. So they actually did a prediction for next 10 years till 2030. So they did this thing as to how the world would look like in 2030, and what are the top 10 predictions that they did from a technology perspective, the general business perspective. So while we can see things like healthcare, cure for cancer, but if you really go through this, many of these, in fact, 7 of these are also those kind of predictions which will impact auto industry, and that's why I wanted to keep this particular slide for each one of us. First, cash will be a distant memory. How does it impact us? So when as automotive industry people, also we need to sell. At the end of the day, anything which is being produced is to be sold, whether as the entire vehicle or spare parts, service, anything. So we need to ensure that cash will not be the only medium. So we need to work on various things where we can do without cash. Semiconductors will be everywhere. So the entire vehicle will have too much of semiconductor, and we know that each one of us is reading as to what is happening in the industry today. There's a major shortage of semiconductors that's being there, and so people are really looking at ways and means. But the amount of semiconductors in vehicles will go up. Wearable technology will blur the realms of reality. Digital entertainment will take the center stage, which also would mean that from vehicles perspective, also digital entertainment, we know that it's already coming up in a lot of vehicles, but it will really go in the main stage. Autonomous vehicles will hit the fast lane. As of now, yes, there's a bit of autonomous vehicles which are there, which we read sometimes positive news, sometimes negative news, even if there's an accident. So one really goes through that. But over next 8 to 10 years, one would see that autonomous vehicles will be there. A lot of them, and it's not just the four-wheelers. We have all heard of a self-balancing motorcycle, which was kind of showcased around 5, 6 years back. So there could be various other stuffs which could be coming. We know that even in Delhi Metro, for example, there are certain metro lines which are driverless, but on the road, autonomous vehicles will be there. green machines will rule the world, which would mean that there's going to be huge focus on sustainability, huge focus on electric vehicles or other forms of the vehicles which will run on other forms of energy. Renewable energy will power the world. And the last, which is again very, very important from automotive industry, is innovative companies will make the world better, which would mean that as automotive industry people who are all on this call, we need to ensure that our organizations really come up with new ways and means, because at the end of the day, it will be the innovative companies which will go further compared to others. So with that, let's look at some of the things. So as I see, there are three key trends which are happening in the economy, which are really changing the automotive industry. So first is the generation which is there, the generation which is going to be your 70, 80, 90% of the customers, they are younger and very tech savvy generation. So which would mean what? This means that when we come up with our products, when we come up with our services, when we come up for IT people, when we come up with our IT systems, the IT systems have to be such, our service at the locations have to be such, our way we sell has to be such that it can really talk to the younger guys, it can talk to those guys who are technically savvy, and which means that we need to ensure that our own entire backend is also very technically savvy. The second is there's a huge advancements that we have seen which are happening in technology, and every year there's something which is new coming up. When 7, 8 years back, 10 years back, we all first heard of cloud, we thought maybe that's the best thing to happen, and then nothing more is going to happen. But today, people will say cloud is a legacy. बहुत सालों से चल रहा है, who cares? Now people are talking of quantum computing, people are talking of blockchain, people are talking various other technologies today. So the advancements in technology are so high that every 6 months, 1 year, something new comes up, and the technology which came in just 2, 3, 4 years back, which seemed to be one of those game changers, suddenly looks like a legacy technology. So with these advancements in technology, the automotive industry is really going to change. And third, of course, globally, there's a huge focus on sustainability and climate change. And we all read about the Paris Conventions and others, and what India is doing and what other countries are doing. So that's where there'll be a huge focus on electric vehicles, or whether tomorrow it could be other fuels or hydrogen or any such thing. So biofuels. So there'll be a lot of stuff which will come as we see, and automotive industry will get transformed. So I just wanted to share about two concepts, ACES and ST, which will really define how the automotive industry is going to change over next 5, 7 years, 10 years. So many of us would have heard of these terms, ACES and ST. Some of us would have just heard of ACES. Some of us may not have heard of these terms, but we are broadly aware of what could be these things. So let me just share with you as to what it is, and then I'll share some of the technologies which are really going to impact the entire automotive industry going forward. So ACES, as we all know, or most of us would know, is A stands for autonomous vehicles. Autonomous vehicles are those vehicles which can run without a driver. So they can run on their own, which basically means from a automotive company perspective that there has to be a huge amount of automation. There's a huge amount of technology that goes into it, and I'll be sharing some of the technologies which go into this. C stands for connected. Connected is a vehicle which actually can talk to someone else. It is connected to something. And again, I'll share with you the details of what connected really means. E is electric, and all of us know that there's a huge focus that's going on all across the globe on electrified vehicles or electric vehicles. And S is a trend which is really impacting automotive industry from a shared perspective. We all know about whether it is a shared 4-wheeler, shared 3-wheeler, shared 2-wheeler, or even otherwise. So there's a huge amount of focus which is getting on to a shared economy. So with these four, so this became the starting point for transforming the auto industry. But then PwC actually just modified it, and they added a Y to it: autonomous, connected, electrified, shared, and they added Y to it, which again, from each one of us perspective, that really is very, very powerful. And if conceptually we think about that, it will show that yes, it logically makes sense. Whether it is Y or something else, I'll share with you. But Y basically is what they call as yearly updated, which means that just imagine I have a car. which has huge amount of technology, huge amount of software. And if I just, for example, if I have a laptop, PC, whatever it may be, or a mobile phone for that matter, and when I upgrade the entire operating system of the same laptop, suddenly it becomes a very different kind of look and feel and the performance of the entire laptop. Similarly, the point that PwC is trying to say over here is that our vehicles, and they have said in terms of cars, they'll be yearly updated, which basically means that today what happens in a normal car is that I buy a car and I'm with it for next 3, 4, 5, 10 years, whatever number of years, and I remain with that car. The engine remains same unless there's a, God forbid, there's an issue or something like that. But most of the features, 95%, 99% remain same. But just imagine if actually, what is electric car? Electric car is nothing but a computer on wheels, as I always put it, which is basically most of it is software driven. So when you really update the entire software, come up with very new versions, for all practical purposes, all the features and everything on the car really get changed. So your car becomes an updated one, whether it is a yearly or a monthly or 2 yearly, that's a matter of discussion. But broadly, what it means is that as we go forward, our vehicles would not have the same, I forget the physical form, but the electronic form, andar se dil se, they'll be very, very different because your software would get updated on a regular frequency. So when we talk of these, so why electric? E is electric. Electric is primarily, it is being driven by climate change. It is primarily being driven because people want emission free. There's enough debate, of course, which is going on in India, whether it's truly emission free, because at the end electricity is getting generated somewhere and there's an issue over there in terms of pollution. But even if you do all the computations and with a huge focus that the government is now giving on renewable energies, so I think this is a major thing which will help the country and the world reduce pollution. So electrified is a major action, and we know that in all categories, even whether it is buses, whether it is cars, two-wheelers, or other areas, there's a huge focus that's being given on electric, and government is also pushing electric two-wheelers or cars or others a lot, because for them it is that, can I really reduce emissions in the country? So that's the focus for E part of it. If you look at the other piece, which is in terms of what is happening from an autonomous perspective. Aim is, can I really do everything without driver? Can I really ensure that why okay, let's go back again. Why as an end user it will help me to get into a driverless car? Number one, of course, if I'm self-driving, it gives me a lot of time. So I'm going from Delhi to Gurgaon, it's 1.5 hour journey. So if I'm driving, then I'm just concentrated on the car. But now if car is taking everything on its own, taking all the decisions, so imagine that the amount of time that gets freed all over the world is so high that people can do many things. Second, the usability of the vehicles will go up, that you are sitting out there, you are in office, the car has to be in the office for next 12 hours. You just kind of order it or program it that you go back, go to home, drop the kids, pick the kids from school. So car is automatically doing the entire thing. The vehicle utilization goes up. And number two, your overall costs come down significantly because the idle cost really goes down and you have huge amount of free time with you. So that's what is really kind of pushing an artificial intelligence and few other technologies, as I'll share with you going forward, which really are impacting this entire thing. The third one is, of course, all of us are aware of what is happening in the shared economy. So shared economy is not just for automotive, but we know that whether it started, for example, the hotel rooms, Oyo rooms, or various other stuff. Ola, Uber, of course, changed the entire thing. So this is really going to again change automotive industry, and each one of us as people in automotive industry has to work on various business models and means as to how one can really help this and gain out of this entire, rather than looking at this trend as something which is going to compete with the automotive industry. In fact, it could really be very helpful. So that's what it will help. So everything is getting into kind of on-demand services. The fourth one is very, very interesting. And let's look at which is the connected part of it. Now, connected vehicle is something, a vehicle which can talk to somebody. It is whether it is talking to another vehicle, whether it is talking to someone else. So that's what I want to just share as to what exactly is connected and how can a vehicle. So a vehicle would have a lot of sensors, whether it is based on IoT, whether it is based on various other things. So the vehicle can help. It can talk to various other people and it will help so that you can track your vehicle. How does, so I know that my vehicle is over there. I'm connected to my vehicle sitting out here in my office, at my home. So I can see on my mobile phone that, okay, the vehicle is in the parking or it has gone to fetch somebody, it's there. It can also help in navigation assistance, which is way beyond what we do in our own Google Maps today. Because Google Maps, what happens is, it is really being driven by the driver. So we look at our Google map, where we are going, whereas the vehicle is then being given instructions by the driver. Whereas in case it's a connected vehicle, the vehicle is getting instructions automatically. So there's a navigation assist. Similarly for traffic assistance, that, okay, don't do this, there's a roadblock over there, there's a traffic over there. So all that things that as individuals we are doing using Google Maps, the vehicle can do on its own. Video and audio entertainment will again get into a very different level from a connected vehicle perspective. Fleet management is another thing that, for example, if somebody has has a rental business and there are 100 odd vehicles, how do you really manage and ensure that all the vehicles are there? Where are they? So if all of them are connected, so on one screen you can see as to where my entire fleet is, what is happening on the fleet. So connected vehicles can really help a lot as far as fleet management is concerned. Another thing which, again, as technology people, especially in automotive industry, one has to work on is ensuring, from a connected vehicle perspective, how do you do remote diagnosis and over-the-air upgrade? So it's like, just to give a very simple analogy, in today's time, if somebody antivirus needs to be updated on the laptop, or you need to put an update app on your mobile phone, what you do is you just go over there, click something, and then automatically over the air your app gets updated. So similarly, on a vehicle, if there's an issue and someone can just log into your car, do a remote diagnosis. If there's a software to be upgraded, you just send it by air and over the internet. And that's what is going to change the automotive industry. And as automotive IT people, especially, we'll have to think as to how do we ensure that this quantum of data or quantum of software which is going in the over-the-air upgrade should not be so high that it will not launch. So we need to ensure that this really works. And of course, from a safety perspective, connected vehicle can help in remote immobilization, theft and tow alerts, accident alerts, RSA, which is roadside assistance. If there's an accident, if there's an issue with the car or vehicle can really make calls in its own to the people. That's called e-call, which is emergency call. It can make call. It can also send the location to somebody. Objective of this RSA and e-call, and it is being also pushed as a regulation in some of the countries, especially in Europe, is to reduce the number of accidents on the road and also to make the road safer, that in case there's an accident, the number of fatalities should really go down. So because by informing the right set of people, government, hospitals, and your own relatives and friends that this is something that has happened, can you really go and help the person? So there are a lot of times when, as individuals, we'll not be able to make calls, but the vehicle should be able to make that call. That is the e-call. And the last piece which connected vehicle gives is something called V2X communication. Now, V2X is another fantastic thing which has come up, which is vehicle talking to X. X means anything and everything. So vehicle can talk to anything. So V2X is vehicle to everything, and it's a technology that allows vehicles to communicate with moving parts of the traffic system around them and anything. So let's look at some examples quickly. A vehicle can talk to a vehicle, so V2V, which basically means that a car is going and there's another car coming, so they can talk to each other, so they can maintain a safe distance. Someone is wanting to, one vehicle is wanting to turn left, and there's a vehicle coming from the other side. It can send a signal saying that ruk jao thoda, let me just either you slow down or do whatever. So that is what V2V. V2I is another concept, which is vehicle talking to infrastructure. What does vehicle talking to infrastructure means? For example, if there's a road sign which says that, okay, roadblock ahead, go slow, there's some slippage on the road, whatever it may be. So can the vehicle really talk to that sign or to anything on the, if there's a condition which is a hazardous condition, or there's a road construction which is going on, so vehicle talks to that and automatically takes whatever actions it has to take. That is called V2I. V2P is, and as I said, vehicle can talk to anyone. So V2P is vehicle talking to pedestrian, so that you can defer possible accidents. V2C is vehicle talking to a cloud, vehicle talking to a network, which will be for over-the-air upgrade, any such thing, or even V2G, where vehicle talks to the grid, electric grid, because now we are on electric vehicles. So how can vehicle really communicate back to grid saying that either I'm running out of power, what do I do? And you get a message back that, okay, there's a charging station 10 meters away or 100 meters, or do this or whatever it may be. So you can actually.
हेलो, अच्छा ये तेरा मैं एक्चुअली थोड़ा सा बैंक के काम.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so that is what connected vehicle is, and then of course we spoke about the yearly updated, which will take care of everything. So that was SK. So just very briefly, let me just share some of the technologies going. Some of them are already playing a role, and some of the technologies going forward which will play a role on this thing. Of course, all of us know that SMAC in automotive industry is playing a major role. Social media is. No, yeah, thank you. So social media from a marketing sales perspective is playing a major role. Analytics, mobile, of course, is the biggest thing, which is a computer, but cloud, any of the connected or any other things will not be possible without cloud. So entire auto industry, everyone has to look at SMAC as technologies. IoT is another big one, which is both for the vehicle and for within the organization. Lot of use cases. So Internet of Things is another technology which is really changing and going to change auto industry a lot. 3D printing is another one which is going to ensure, because what is now going to happen is, and already we can see happening, is that new vehicles are getting introduced at a much faster pace. So if you have to introduce new vehicles at a faster pace, your development time has to come down, and 3D printing really helps you in cutting down on your development time. Simulation is a big thing which is happening in R&D or in other functions, as far as, and there are huge technologies which are working from simulation perspective. We know that bots and robots or cobots and RPAs, and these are really changing the automotive industry. And going forward, bots, whether for customer service, for employees, or robots on the shop floor, within the offices, in the showrooms, everywhere, robots are playing a role today. RPA, as I said earlier, robotic process automation, is one technology which is really going to impact. Already in some parts of the auto industry, it is working. Now, LiDAR is another technology which I just wanted to spend 30 seconds. LiDAR is the light detection and ranging technology. This is that technology by which an autonomous vehicle has those cameras on which it can detect. So it sends a laser signal, the signal comes back, and based on that, the system decides what speed, what angle the other vehicle is coming. Just a very simple example of LiDAR is what is being used on the roads today for the traffic challan. So where you are driving and the camera really, whether it's day or night, picks up as to when, at what speed, which vehicle are coming. Dark is another set of technologies. Just 1 second. So Dark is another set of technologies which is there, which is distributed ledger technology, which is blockchain. Blockchain is going to impact the vehicle industry a lot, especially one of the major use cases, as I see, for blockchain is in ensuring that the today those fake spare parts which are there in the market, they can be taken care a lot. And of course, there are various other use cases also. Artificial intelligence, extended reality, whether it is augmented reality, virtual reality, mixed reality, that's already playing a role in the sales and marketing, in training, in manufacturing, in some of the hazardous areas. So that will continue to play a bigger role. And quantum computing, as I see going forward, will be one major technology which can help auto industry a lot. And another technology which is just starting and will come into the practical mode is 5G. 5G is going to impact auto industry a lot, especially from an autonomous vehicles perspective, electric vehicles perspective, because then the quantum of data which is really being moved and the latency at which it's being moved will really be impacted very, very positively from a 5G. So 5G is going to be a big game changer for auto industry going forward. And then there'll be many more technologies. 2 or 3 more technology trends which are emerging. We know that most of the auto companies are today talking of digital showrooms, and we need to ensure that, and these will evolve. So right now, while there's a particular version of digital showrooms, but going forward, there'll be more and more technology which will be there, and more simulation, more ways for the individuals to interact with the vehicle. So aim is, can I do everything contactless? And it will really impact the IT teams and other teams, the sales and marketing teams at the organizations, where they have to now start thinking that the customer is not really just coming to physical showrooms, but the concept which, as they call the research or online, purchase offline kind of things, that will really, for which I need to ensure that my research online is very, very strong. Or digital twin is another technology which is really gaining a lot of ground in automotive industry, whether it is for plant design, whether it is for some parts of vehicle design. So digital twin is another which is really picking up. Basically, digital twin is a computer program which observes the real world and then predicts what would happen in the virtual world, and it is helping in improving layouts, predicting bottlenecks, analyzing real-time behavior. So this is another technology which is really picking up. And of course, then there are order fulfillments, things like AGVs, RGVs, robots. AGVs are automated guided vehicles, rail guided vehicles, robots, which are being used by the organizations a lot to ensure that the order fulfillment really goes up. Automated warehouses, how do you really manage inventory better? Because as each customer would want to have everything which is maybe as less price as possible, the organizations need to ensure that their costs go down, and how do you really manage inventories or other costs? So that's where technology is going to play a major role. The ROPO part is what I discussed. So what customers are doing is either they are researching online. So before I get into a showroom, I actually have researched everything about that particular vehicle, compared it with 10 possible vehicles, read 1,000 reviews, and then I purchase offline. Or a reverse ROPO where people do a lot of research offline, you go to various showrooms and then say that I want to just purchase online. So these are the kind of trends, and as automotive company people, we need to ensure that we are all ready for this ROPO and reverse ROPO. So just to summarize, technology is really transforming the automotive industry, and we'll see some of the sessions just after this. Gaurav will be sharing as to how SAP is also working on these ones. But we need to keep in mind that technology is really transforming, and the pace of this transformation is increasing a lot. Concepts like ACEs, autonomous vehicles, connected, electric, shared, and the yearly updated is here to stay. These are not theoretical concepts which will be there for a couple of weeks or months, but they are here to stay, and each of us has to ensure that we really work towards that. Let me end my session, and thank you very much. So back to you, Mukesh.
Thank you so much, Vijay sir, for taking us through the trends. And I know that you've got to go, so thank you for your time. And I'd now like to invite Gaurav to kind of take it up and run with his session. Gaurav?
Sure, Mukesh. I'll
So
just share
meanwhile,
my
if just one, yeah, please go ahead and share your screen. Meanwhile, if you have any questions for Vijay sir, please do drop them on the chat. I'll try and see if there is a way where I can at least get some answers.
You can just send me word by WhatsApp. I'll keep on responding. I just have to enter somewhere.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye. Take care. God bless.
So Mukesh, can you see my screen and hear my voice clearly?
Yes, Gaurav, all good.
Okay, fantastic. So hello everyone, welcome to today's session on SAP for automotive and how can we accelerate the digitalization. My name is Gaurav Chakravarti and I am an industry architect from SAP India. I work extensively with automotive customers in India market unit. Today I'll be speaking to you about what Vijay sir also referred, how we perceive as SAP from our experience across the globe on the disruptions in the automotive sector, primarily driven by technology, and how companies are having to balance this disruption with business continuity, and how SAP can help you in the automotive sector with the SAP Intelligent Enterprise, looking at the current challenges and requirement with Industry Cloud for Automotive, and how do you move from your current to be with something which we call Rise with SAP for Automotive. Okay, so that's the brief agenda, and let's start. So I think we all agree that the automotive industry is going through a significant transformation, including how mobility is consumed, the capabilities of the vehicle, and how connectedness is actually changing everything around how we buy, how we use, and how we consume mobility. Now, we have just come out of second wave, and it is still uncertain. The pandemic, as Vijay sir also referred, seems to be fading, but there are shortages and disruptions still impacting the automotive industry. Whether you talk about raw materials, whether you talk about chips and semiconductor, or even people and talent, right? So these trends are driving every company actually to focus between the traditional automotive business profitably, and at the same time invest in new capabilities required to deliver a sustainable business model which is profitable and also scalable, right? So what then, when we look at this globally, from various automotive customers that we interact, we see that automotive companies today are pursuing a common set of strategic priorities. Of course, most important in that is focusing on their customers to understand the requirement and desires so that they can design products that meet their needs. Now, this is paired with the new business models and services that connectivity makes possible. So this is a new element which is strongly coming in. Then, of course, if you also look at the digital supply chain part, it's all about optimizing, building, delivering those vehicles or services with the lowest cost and highest quality. And while doing all this, developing and competing for skilled workforce is required as one of the key priorities. Now, when you pursue these priorities, the entire value chain has to play a part in order to successfully deliver each of these priorities, right? Because these value chains are all interconnected. Now, it really involves to transform the core business process, like the design to operate or lead to cash, as well as supporting processes, say for source to pay or hire to retire, right? So now, what is SAP's point of view here? And this is where it gets interesting. We as SAP, we believe that we can deliver this perspective with the Intelligent Enterprise for Automotive. Intelligent Enterprise basically provides a real-time visibility for the business processes. It supports intelligent decision making, And it also, you can establish more flexible and comprehensive value chain. So the word flexible is important because when you are facing market, flexibility is extremely important. And at the same time, robustness is important. So comprehensive and robustness of the value chain. And all this while, and it's an extremely critical dimension as you move these needles, all these while ensuring you operate in a more sustainable manner. So whether it is climate 21 or any other sustainability measure, so how we can do that is also becoming very critical. Now, essentially, in our view, your journey starts with best practices, which most of you are aware and understand. These are the best practices that are recognized as core capabilities, and these are required to operate competitively within the business. In addition to that, you can actually move with the intelligent enterprise to next practices, which are deeper capabilities that bring competitive advantage to your business. And you can also move to the vertical edge. And extend those areas of competitive advantage with unique and innovative capabilities that can help you disrupt competition and set your business apart. Let's take a deeper look in the design to operate process that I mentioned. If you drill down from the process through overarching objective of that driving a sustainable automotive business at profitability and at scale, and we can then drop into the elements or lines of business that support these objectives. So to drive automotive business that is sustainable and at scale, we will have various line of business which supports this objective, whether it is product design, procurement, connected supply chain. They all have a role to play in delivering the pieces of the puzzle. However, when viewed and transformed holistically, each impacts not only the capabilities, let's say, for example, shop floor or in engineering, but they interlock, they support, and they provide needed elements that enable other areas to level up on the maturity scale and contribute the overall goal in a synergistic way. If we analyze, you will realize that the whole actually becomes greater than the sum of the parts. So the entire thing, when it works in synergy, the whole becomes more than the sum of the parts. Let's take an even closer look at the example in the area of digital supply chain and smart manufacturing for automotive. Here we see, and this we all understand, the best practice of a dedicated linear line manufacturing or a classical assembly line manufacturing with a synchronized just-in-time supply chain, right? Now, as next practice, this is a highly flexible modular work cell with a non-linear flow, with flexible and automated inbound material flow perfectly synchronizing with agile cells in the production. The modular approach is using as per Industry 4.0 principle with automation, and this leads to increased flexibility, leverages automation, and yields improvement in throughput and eliminates bottleneck. Now, these are transformational capabilities actually which will be required, and we are increasingly getting to understand that companies are looking at a sustainable architecture to deliver this new momentum enabled through digitalization in automotive. And we are going to further deep dive more on how intelligent enterprise, industry cloud, and Rise with Automotive can help you meet these requirements. We enable these capabilities through our intelligent enterprise architecture. The intelligent suite, which includes the S/4HANA Digital Core or S/4HANA Cloud, and intelligent suite apps, the business network, the business technology platform, and all this basically in the cloud, residing in SAP data center or hyperscaler. Now to further augment the next practices and vertical edge, You have the SAP Industry Cloud for automotive apps, which can be rapidly implemented to innovate quickly and achieve competitive advantage. Industry cloud apps can be developed by SAP or developed by our partner community and are available to be bundled in the RISE offering, which we will explain in a little while. So I'm just keeping this for a couple of seconds so that this view is clear. We talked about the intelligent enterprise in the cloud, all elements of the intelligent enterprise like business network, the SAP suite of application, the business technology platform in SAP data center or hyperscaler, and enabling differentiation with industry cloud for automotive, right? So now we do understand, while this sounds great, that how do you decide that, what are the key questions when you ask yourself, or when you want to transform the business based on what you are seeing, the trends in the industry? Now, the toughest challenges often are, where do we start? How do we do it? Who can help us? How long will it take? How much will it cost? And specifically for this reason, SAP has created a new business transformation as a service called RISE with SAP for Automotive to address the challenges in transforming your business into true intelligent enterprise. Now, to help navigate from where your business is today to where you want to be in future, we provide business process analysis tools and services to help you focus on the areas to improve, as well as the areas that will drive competitive advantage and enable new business opportunities. We provide tools and services to assess your current system readiness to transform along with the tools to help you make the move. We also provide you with all foundational elements of the SAP's intelligent enterprise architecture, S/4HANA Cloud as your digital core, encompassing industry best practices, capabilities to run your business, SAP Business Network Starter Pack, which enables you to collaborate with customers, suppliers, and partners, SAP Business Technology Platform, which helps you integrate, automate, and extend your capabilities, and all running on the cloud infrastructure provider of choice. You can optionally add additional cloud solution from SAP Industry Cloud for Automotive to further transform your business and enable your strategic priorities. And all this is done to drive towards two key outcomes in your transformation: enable value creation with differentiating business capabilities, and mitigate risk, reduce cost, and reduce time to value. Now, this is a view of SAP's differentiating business best practices. We have focused on some of these before, and we are going to further elaborate some of the key elements on how we deliver our differentiation with next practices and vertical edge. So let's deep dive deeper on some of the differentiating capabilities, where you have here the strategic priorities, and here you have the value chain for automotive. And we are going to talk about industry cloud for automotive. So just for some examples I will talk about, let's start with R&D. And it is extremely important that the collaboration of R&D processes with customer, with supplier, and also internal, and specifically to capture the voice of customer and customer collaboration and innovating has become more critical and will continue to become critical. And if you want to ensure you have the right product with the right capabilities in the market at the right time, SAP Industry Cloud solution is enterprise product development, focuses on collaboration, building the requirements your customers have, and make sure that you get into product in the right way to make the customer happy. Of course, the right product also has to be profitable for you. So SAP Industry Cloud Solution, SAP Product Lifecycle Costing gives you the capabilities to collect and summarize the product cost throughout the entire product lifecycle, from early concepts with placeholders and comparable system cost, all the way through the development as you dive into the details and form up the design and work with suppliers and manufacturers to solidify the details, and gives you confidence that you won't have any surprises as you roll out the product into production or into the market. Now, once you do that, especially in the OEM space, the product has to be introduced and sold in the market. So the sales and service part is extremely critical. Again, SAP Industry Cloud Solution for automotive vehicle sales and service brings these capabilities to engage at the point of sale and service. And as Vijay sir was mentioning about digital twins, so connecting the entire thread from product design to manufacturing to sales and beyond is the digital twin capability of your product, enabling visibility of each individual vehicle as it flows through the life cycle, allowing your company, your partners, your customers to collaborate, enhance and participate in activities centered around your product. As you can see, there are various offerings from SAP Industry Cloud for automotive, which can help you deliver differentiation for your next practices and vertical edge. So this is basically a perspective which is very critical. And this is how the offering from SAP is there to help you move the next level in next practices and vertical edge. Of course, all these business capabilities needs to generate value. So as you implement this differentiating capabilities, what do they equate in terms of business value? Now, what you see in the figures are basically average figures and depends on the various data that has been collected. And it also depends on customer specific, the level of maturity, the processes implemented, and how you can basically gain benefits by implementing these processes, right? And yeah, so RISE doesn't only provide a de-risked and less costly path to the cloud, but also offers business capabilities that our customers need to transform their business and maximize shareholder return. So that is where RISE with SAP offering also is extremely critical, impacting the key value drivers and KPIs for our automotive customers. Okay, a little bit deeper into again RISE with SAP for automotive. Now, if we take how RISE minimizes the risk and cost, there are essentially 12 value drivers. So you talk about 12 value drivers, which we talk about. So for example, there are 4 pillars. So starting with transformation readiness, we have seen a business process intelligence. Business process intelligence, customers are able to achieve about 10 to 15% more process efficiency. The process discovery report is pre-packaged with RISE. With SAP tools and services, our customers can reduce complexity of customization and maximize use of standard functionality. Our experience shows that this can reduce complexity and cost of running customization by about 50%. Things like readiness check, customer code migration app, learning hub are pre-packaged with RISE. Then integration and extension use cases offered by the business technology platform help in testing the automation of workflows, innovation use cases. And with SAP Business Network, customer can leverage starter pack of Business Network to reduce sourcing savings by 10 to 15% based on what we understand from a global view, logistics cost about 5%, and days in inventory to about 15%. The next pillar is about as a service experience. This is about a simplified contract, simplified support structure, thereby reducing the number of hands that an organization needs to shake. This offering is aligned with our partners, and both SAP and partners work together to propose an optimum roadmap for the organization. This significantly brings down the level of governance because of the simplification of the structure, right? Then let's talk about operational resilience. By using SAP suggested in reference architecture, organization can basically be sure about future scalability of the solution and can reduce infrastructure costs that possibly some of you have from over provisioning, and as per our experience from 30 up to a level of 30 to 60%. Better infrastructure resilience can also reduce system downtime, what we have seen to the extent of 98%. SAP's cloud application and data safety ensures organization to reduce high overhead costs to address cybersecurity, privacy issues, and also ensure business continuity. And roughly what we are saying, this to the extent of 2% of revenue from a global perspective is kind of saved or benefits are realized. The last pillar is about the benefits of TCO. What we have seen is organization can realize up to 20% reduction in TCO over 5 years, basically from the savings from hyperscaler infrastructure and technical operations automation that are passed on to the customers, right? So this is a perspective which we can discuss in detail on for the RISE with SAP for automotive, and it is a significant offering for our automotive customers from SAP. A great example where one of our customer, Italica, have used the digital core and industry cloud for automotive using industry 4.0 principle. This company has the intelligence suite and industry cloud application in digital manufacturing area to help optimize their manufacturing operations with industry 4.0 and real-time information, which enables them to enhance their production output through better agility and automation onto the on the shop floor. So in conclusion, what could be a good next step is that this is the vision to value engagement methodology, and RISE with SAP for automotive can help you transform your business as follows. The path outlined here. First, what we can possibly do is start the transformation by providing high-level value cases for change based on your individual requirement and needs. We then align on the vision and desired outcomes to define and align business and IT strategy, define the scope, resources, and timeline. Next, we build a detailed value cases for change based on discovery workshops to ensure your transformation outcome yields value desired. Then the path forward is defined so that at the end of the engagement, the business value can be delivered by the project. So this is the entire engagement model of RISE with SAP for automotive. And in our view, it is extremely critical looking at the trends of the automotive industry to make an architecture or drive towards a to-be architecture that is future ready, sustainable, agile, at the same time robust. Okay, so that's all from my side. Thank you very much for this session. And we talked about RISE with SAP for automotive, with Intelligent Industry Cloud, along with the digital core and the Intelligent Enterprise. We hope that this has been a helpful, informative session and has given you a better understanding of RISE with automotive. And of course, we invite you to reach out for any questions that you might have on the engagement, on Industry Cloud, Intelligent Enterprise. We definitely encourage you and willing to discuss with you in much greater detail. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gaurav, for taking us through the session. So I'll just take a pause here and check if there are any questions. If anyone has any questions, please do drop them on the chat and we'll take it up in a bit. So I would request Gaurav if you can just stay on for a little bit. I would now like to go through. Pranav has a question. Okay, so maybe Gaurav, if you can share your contact information as well, because there is a request for your visiting card or something like that. So if you can just share your email ID, or maybe you can add it on the slide deck and send the slide to me so that I can distribute it to everyone who's attending.
Sure, we'll do that.
Okay, thank you. So now the next part of the agenda is to have a conversation around the automotive special interest group that we have as part of Indus. So before we start having that conversation, I'll just take a couple of minutes, maybe 5 minutes at most, to talk about what Indus is, because I know some of you are aware of what Indus is and what we do as part of Indus. Some of you may not necessarily be aware, so I'll just take 5 minutes to kind of share what Indus is and also talk a little bit about the special interest group as well. So let me know if you're able to see my screen. Can someone confirm if you're able to see my screen?
Yes.
Gaurav, can you okay, thank you. So Indus is a short form for Indian users of SAP. Typically, every large country that SAP sells its products in, and where there is a good amount of adoption, typically there is a user group that kind of forms up. So, but what is a user group, right? A user group is an independent community, which is this is outside of SAP. This is not part of SAP. So Indus is incorporated as a association of people, which means that it is governed by its own bylaws, it is governed by its own rules and regulations, and is completely separate from SAP from that point of view. It is a group created for customers, by customers, and made up of customers. So typically, this is all SAP customers coming together, inviting partners and SAP to come together so that we can all congregate in one place and kind of have an exchange of information or ideas. It is also an indication of market maturity. So as I said, any market where there is a significant adoption of SAP product, typically there is a user group that springs up. Indus was launched in '96, but in all true sense, we've started operating on a regular basis from 2009. I joined this team and I've been working with Indus since 2010, and I've seen the user group grow from 5 customers coming together to kind of reinitiate this entire conversation to today we have close to about 1,800 customers who are part of the group. So why do we need a user group? Multiple things. Can everyone go on mute, please? Thank you. So as Vijay sir was also talking about in his conversation, so many industries are kind of merging and converging to form new industry structures. So for example, there are CPG organizations which are now selling directly to consumers. So are they retail or are they CPG? Automotive companies are kind of setting up digital storefronts. So are they retail companies or are they automotive companies? There are automotive companies which have significant amount of technology embedded within their product and are moving away from selling products to services. So are they automotive product companies or are they service companies? So all those boundaries that segregated industries are kind of vanishing away. Plus, Vijay sir was also talking about the different technological advances that we are seeing in our all around us, right? So, for example, at one point in time, there was a CIO who on his slide talked about the fact that they were tracking 98 technologies at any given point in time. So, what does that mean? So then there are emerging business models, right? So from selling cars to now selling mileage is a very big change in business models, right? So that is happening as we speak. So with all of this happening, it is important that people come together and learn from each other. So for example, what can automotive learn from CPG companies? What can CPG companies learn from retail companies? What can retail companies learn from, let's say, professional services companies? And things like that. So that is why it is important that we have a place where all of us can congregate and learn from each other. So 3 objectives of Indus. One is enable collaboration amongst the entire ecosystem, more so amongst people within the same industry or similar industries. Co-innovation with both SAP as well as its partners, and influencing SAP at all levels, whether it is at a product level, whether it is at a strategy level, whether it is at a go-to-market level, whether it is providing feedback on how they engage with customers, on support, all of that. So SAP, so Indus plays a very, very significant role in terms of providing feedback to SAP in terms of how they operate in the country that they are operating in. So what is the current status? We have over 1,800 SAP customers who are part of the group. We have 9,000 plus individuals from these 1,800 plus customers who are part of the group who receive our invitations and emails. Indus is also part of a group called Shugan, which stands for SAP User Group Executive Network. So this is a group of user group representatives from about 20 of the most mature user groups around the world, coming together 2 times a year in person and every month on a call. And they meet with SAP senior executives. I'm talking about SAP CEO, Christian Klein, CFO, CTO at that level to provide feedback. And one of the things that have come out of this feedback is the entire S/4HANA pricing came out of these feedback. The entire integration push that SAP has had so far in terms of connecting existing SAP solutions, whether it is Ariba to S4 or SF to S4 or all of those pre-built integration, actually came from a feedback that Shugan provided to SAP, and Indus was a prominent part of that team which provided that feedback. So how does Indus enable all of this? Councils, special interest groups, and chapters. Where councils is nothing but small teams. So Indus board members are the guys who are actually responsible for driving strategy and what topics we should be covering and what are the activities we want to do as part of Indus. So all of that, these are the, if you can see, we have small organizations, medium organizations, really large scale organizations. We have from oil and gas to retail to CP to chemicals to logistics to manufacturing to life sciences, all sorts of customer. So this is a microcosm of existing SAP customer base in India. And therefore they are able to kind of provide guidance in terms of what Indus as an activity should be doing. So special interest groups can be industry-based, function-based, product-based. We already have an automotive special interest group. We were active about a year or so. In the last year or so after the pandemic started, we've not done much from an activity point of view. That is what we want to change. And that is why we are starting this, kickstarting this entire thing again today. So there are also function-based user groups, HR, procurement, manufacturing, supply chain, driving transformation, product-based. So you can find all of this information on the Indus website, which is the link is there. The key part of these industry special interest groups is that we come together. Since everyone is in the same industry, everyone can relate to what people are doing as a project. People can share successes, people can share challenges. We can all come together. For example, the energy and natural resources, which is oil and gas and utilities, SIGs, they're coming together to put together they're exploring if they can put together a team where representatives from all their members can come together and can work on creating co-innovation opportunities with SAP and partner ecosystem. So there is a whole lot that can be done as part of an industry special interest group. So I would really, kind of hope that we will have a regular ongoing conversation as part of the industry special interest groups, right? So these are the chapters. These are nothing but geographically co-located customers. Typical topics are, which is relevant to all customers, irrespective of their industry size and things like that. So licensing is one, new product information is one. So all of those kind of topics are covered here. So we have a WhatsApp group for all the special interest groups. Sorry, this is for the auto. My apologies, I forgot to amend this. But this QR code is for the automotive special interest group WhatsApp group. So if you are okay to join a WhatsApp group, please do join. We will also share this as part of a follow-up with all of you guys. So do join. It is one way for us all to kind of have a conversation outside of these events as well, and have a conversation. Today, for example, most of what has happened is one way and not two way. But what we try and do as part of Indus WhatsApp in WhatsApp groups or special interest groups is to have a two-way conversation. You tell us what you want to hear from or about, and we kind of bring in those topics for you. You kind of ask questions, we kind of find answers for you and things like that. So with that, I'll just stop and check if anyone has any questions or if you have any feedback So I will also, I started the poll. So if you can just respond to the poll, if you really want to kind of connect with SAP and take this conversation forward, either with respect to the industry cloud solutions or with respect to the um, to the Rise with SAP offering that Gaurav spoke about. So I'll stop there. Any questions, thoughts, comments uh, from anybody? It looks a little odd for me that we are on a call and it's just one person speaking. So I'm typically I host all user group Indus sessions, and I know as a matter of fact that we have a lot of two-way conversations. People tend to ask a lot of questions. So my physics professor used to tell me there are only two situations where there are no questions. Either everyone has got everything, understood everything, or nobody has understood anything. I always feel that there is a third and more important element there, which is people have questions but are reluctant in terms of whether the question is smart enough or not. So,
Yeah, Mukesh, this is Bankesh Jingna from
yes,
Hero.
please.
I have just joined your group, Indus Automotive,
Thank
by
you.
clicking this. So there are hardly only 29 participants so far. Is this a newly
Yeah.
created group only?
No, so we created this group about 2 years back. As I said, unfortunately, uh, uh, from the time the pandemic started, we have not had much activity on that group. You cannot see all the old conversation because you've just joined. Typically, I post a lot of stuff. I read and follow this industry. I'm very passionate about these industries, especially automotive, retail, and consumer, and I share a lot of content. The challenge is that there has to be the other way around as well, right? So people should ask questions, people should share comments, and have a conversation around topics that are important for you guys. So that was missing because the number of people there on the group were less. That is why
Very
this time around we have invited SAP to partner, and that's why the outreach is larger this time. So we've had 183 people register for this session. Even if, let's say, 100 people join the group, it can be a much more interactive and a much more effective group, if you ask me.
good. So in case I have to add my colleagues, so I will
Please.
have to give the request to you because you are admin.
No, so you just share this link with them and they can join using the link. So I put the link on the chat. So forward the link to them, and they can actually click on the link and join.
Right.
Otherwise, once you've joined the group, right? So just send me reply on the group saying that can you send the link on the group, and I can post the link again on the group, and you can then just forward that to your colleagues as well.
Thank you.
The only caveat is that we need to be very professional about participating in the group. No good morning, good afternoon, good evening messages, no forwards. As long as we keep it topic relevant, I think there is a lot of value. So we have one for all the groups. So localization is probably the most active. Then all the other groups are also pretty active from that point of view. Any questions for Gaurav? He shared a lot of stuff. Any questions for Vijay Sethi sir? We still have about 10-11 minutes to go for the day, which is what was the time that we had set up for Gaurav. So Gaurav, may I start the questions? Gaurav, you're still here, right? Gaurav? Okay, looks like he got disconnected. Let's just wait for him to come back. Meanwhile, let's just check if anyone has any questions. So one of the things that we do with the special interest groups is the fact that we run regular ongoing meetings, fixed day, fixed time kind of meetings. So for example, the S4HANA group meets every month. The security special interest groups meet every month. HR group meets every month. Procurement group meets every month. So we can decide amongst ourselves as to what we want to, how often we want to meet and what topics. So you can decide what topics you want us to cover, and we can bring in experts on those topics. Thanks, Chandra, for your question. As SAP has financial dashboards, I would assume, I'm pretty sure that SAP has. And also, if you look at S4HANA, it is role-based dashboards are also available, and which means that, for every role that someone has within your organization, when they actually log in, they have their own set of dashboards that they can use in order for them to be more productive at work. On top of that, there are solutions, analytic solutions that SAP has, which you can actually procure, which is SAP Analytics Cloud is one such solution. Then SAP HANA as a database itself can also act as a solution on which you can build your own financial dashboards as well. And then there are planning solutions. So there is a whole suite of dashboards now. You'll have to be a little bit more specific about what do you mean by financial dashboards. Oh man. This is what every meeting, the host of every meeting is afraid of, right? The deathly silence. Yes, Dheeraj, we have a SAP HR special interest group, which is primarily consisting of SuccessFactors customers. They share about how they are leveraging SuccessFactors within their organization. We also bring in thought leaders and startups to kind of share what they are doing. Anyway, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your attention. I hope our paths cross again sometime soon. Thanks. Take care.